Hey, this is Holly with Holly. If you hear me, y'all, and guess what day it is? Day 18 of the 21-day New Year Journal Challenge. Y'all, we getting through this thing, aren't we? I am so glad you are here. I am so glad you've continued on the journey. And if it's your first time tuning in and you're like, what is this? What did I start watching? Y'all, it is a 21-day New Year Journal Challenge where we are writing the vision that the Lord has given us so that we can not only identify what the Lord has said, but have a strategy, y'all, to be able to identify who we are in God, what our calling is, and then execute on that vision that the Lord has given. So not only are we working through live together every day for the first 21 days of this new year, but on the 25th of January, we are coming back together to actually work on a vision board, y'all. So we have the visual manifestation of what the Lord has given us. All right, let's get into day 18, y'all. All right, so for today, the prompt shared was really about scripture meditation, and that was for Isaiah 43:19. So I'm going to start, root us in the word. I'm going to read um, Isaiah 43:18 through 19, and then we will jump in. All right. So the word reads, hmm, whew, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Y'all, do you perceive it? Forget the former things. And God is doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Now, for some of you, you may say, yeah, I do. I can see fruit. I know that there are new things that the Lord is doing in me, through me. But then there's others who may say, I don't know. I don't see it. Now, that doesn't mean that the Lord has not shown you things. It doesn't mean that the Lord has not given you an invitation into a new thing. But sometimes, y'all, we got to look at the condition of the soul that we working with to understand, are we positioned to perceive it, right? Isn't that what the word says? See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Do you not see it? So, y'all, as I was really meditating on today, meditating on this scripture, what I thought is, okay, there's a new thing that the Lord is doing in us. And yes, we want to recognize, we want to identify what that is. We want to work that thing out. But I also said, I really want to speak to those who are looking and saying, I don't know if I recognize that new thing yet, because maybe my mindset just isn't in the place yet where I can receive it, right? Maybe it's clouded by things that are not allowing me to really see that beauty in what God is doing in me, right? We've talked about this before, y'all, like where sometimes people can see things before you do, but this is something that you need to see and feel, right? And you need to believe. And so, what the Lord has really shown me and reminded me of is that the reason that so many do not perceive that new thing that God is trying to do in them, or when they start it, they stop, they start it, they stop, because of a word that many of you may be familiar with: rejection. Rejection. Whew. We're going to unpack that, y'all. So, earlier this summer, I actually read a really impactful, life changing book by John Eckert, and it was called Discerning the Spirit of Rejection. It's a spirit, it's a stronghold. Uh-huh. It is not just a word. It is not just something that happened to you. Y'all, it's a spirit that we got to reject and rebuke, y'all. But you can't, you know, reject the thing if you don't even know what that thing is that's keeping you from being able to see and feel and understand a new thing that God is doing in you. And so, what I wanted to do is just kind of walk us through that R word. So, a lot of times, that spirit of rejection, it starts early in life, childhood, family wounds, the things that happen to us or around us that started to shape our perception, not only of who we are, but what we can and cannot trust, who we can and cannot trust. Kind of that puts those walls up to protect ourselves, right? We're protecting ourselves by putting up the walls, right? And so that rejection is what really kind of starts us early on with with the walls. And how does that show up? Like physically, what are the ways that shows up? A big way is fear. Fear, paralyzed from fear, being afraid to be our full self, being afraid to walk into a new thing, being afraid to do anything outside of our comfort zone, you know, insecurity. I'm not good enough. I don't know if they want me. Are they sure they know who I am? They want me around. Pride. Oh my God. Pride, y'all. Pride is the result of rejection. You know what I mean? That stiff neck that I'm, no, who are you? I got this. I know what I'm doing. Knowing you don't know what you're doing. Uh, Isolation, that fear of rejection, that rejection, y'all, that thing that you're carrying from the time you could have been a little child, and that thing is just manifesting in you and just taking rest inside of you, to the place where you've isolated yourself from opportunities, from people, from situations that could have allowed you to grow and be better, become better. But that's that rejection working on your mind. People pleasing, y'all. Mm, mm. That's another form of how rejection shows up. Where, all right, y'all, like, you can't say no. You don't have no boundaries. You want to please others to the point that you are causing harm to yourself, y'all. And so all of this, y'all, it creates not just walls, not just anxiety, not just depression. Oh my God. But it creates a soul that's so broken, that's so clouded with untruths, that the goodness that is in you, the spirit God put in you, can't even speak for you. That's why I say all the time, y'all. Oh my God. I say this all the time, that when you are working through something, when you are experiencing someone, you got to realize that the condition that their soul is in may be what's the reason why the output, the way that they're engaging could be so toxic, could be so brass, or in some ways just you know coming up coming you know to look as though maybe they're meek, maybe they don't kind of love themselves. Like, there's so many different ways that it shows up, guys, but these are just some of the ways, right? It is a spiritual battle that's taking place inside of you. That's what it is. And so the goal of the enemy with rejection, through rejection, is to convince you that you are not loved, is to convince you that you are unworthy. The enemy's goal is to convince you that you're not good enough, making you think that so much that you don't even think that you deserve the love of God. And y'all, we know that's not true. For God is love, right? We know that's not true. We are loved by God, y'all. So we have to be able to overcome that battle, y'all. We got to be able to call out that spirit of rejection that has overcome our minds, that has crept its way into our being, because it is damaging the good thing that God is trying to do in you. You know, sometimes people wonder why. Why am I in these repetitive cycles? Why do I see what God has? Why do I feel I know what God has, but I can't seem to quite get there? I seem to be back on the U turn, back on the cycle. It's probably some soul cleansing that needs to be done. This is why it's so important to be in alignment with faith leadership, pure faith leadership who can help you through the deliverance that may be needed, y'all, to pray you through it. But there's a thing that you can do, y'all, because all of us, right? We all have access to the Father through the Son. And we can call a thing out ourselves, y'all. We can rebuke these things right here and right now. We know by his stripes that we are healed. We know that we were accepted by the cross. Y'all, we know those things. And so we have that opportunity to pray for deliverance from these strongholds and ask God to come into our heart and receive God's hold, receive God's love and rebuke those strongholds. And so, y'all, as we really talk about today's prompt for the 21-day New Year challenge, I felt like there's no way that we could talk about the joy of the new thing that God is doing in us unless we spent the time talking about the ways that the enemy tries to come in and still kill and destroy the joy of the Lord that he's trying to put inside of us, the new thing he's trying to do inside of us, y'all. And that's because he has placed all of these false perceptions of ourselves and sometimes of others in our minds. And those things, y'all, there were seeds, right, planted so long ago that grew and formed other buds that grew and continued to grow and never got called out. And we never told ourselves that wasn't true. And now it's an opportunity, y'all, to do a new thing in ourselves through the Son. We can call it out, y'all. We can say, Lord, come into my heart. Create in me a clean heart. We know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities. We know these are demonic spirits. We know that it's not true. We know the enemy is a liar. We know the enemy wants to keep us from the promise. We know the enemy will stop at no lengths to move us away, to distract us, to delineate us off course, because he knows how powerful we are when we know what our power is. Because y'all, when we talk about the enemy don't need you to say no to God. He don't need you to say a flat out, mm-mm. He know that's not happening. All he needs us to do is to start doubting. Well, maybe that ain't for me. Well, maybe it's not my time. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm the right person for this. Y'all must admit somebody else. Can't be me. Y'all, that's all the enemy needs is doubt to continue to spread those seeds. And that's why you have to guard your heart. Guard your heart. And in this season, I'm going to say, guard it, y'all, with everything within you, even if that means protecting who and what you share. Okay? Because if you know God is working on a thing for you and you know God has been speaking to you, y'all, listen, you got to know that sometimes that is just for you and God. That's it. That's it. Because if he wanted them all to know and all of them to have it, he would have gave it to them. Okay. So let that be between you and God until you work that thing out so much to where your faith is so strong, where you feel that love of God so strong, where there is nothing that can be said or done that can permeate what that love is that you feel the fullness of from God, because you know you on the right track. You know you're working toward that promise. You know there's nothing that can take you off course. Y'all, until you reach that, keep it between you and the Father. Let him do the work in you. We are always becoming. We are never going to fully say we are there, y'all. There ain't no more work to be done. We always are going to be becoming. We are always going to be on this journey with God. So, y'all, that's it. I just wanted to take an opportunity to talk to you about that spirit of rejection that you may be experiencing, that may have been preventing you from really being able to identify the new thing that God is doing. Or perhaps you've identified it, but to believe that you're worthy. And so I just pray that you found this to have really spoken to any of those broken places as an opportunity to renew yourself in the Lord, but more importantly, as a reminder to go to the Father and ask him to reveal where there still may be places that your heart needs to be mended. All right, y'all. That is day 18. I will be back live tomorrow for day 19 for the 21-day New Year Journal Challenge. I do pray that you are having an amazing day, whatever day you are watching this. I love you, and I will see you